Happy Sunday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining. We are currently short one of our hosts. Um, he is on vacation with his wife and several members of his bridal party. They're in sunny California, enjoying the West Coast weather. He did, of course, promise me that he would be in attendance. So hopefully, considering the time difference, he probably is slightly thrown off. But I'm hoping that he realizes what time it is and that he will join us. But thank you for joining myself, Letitia, and my co host, Paris, for another thought provoking conversation called Unspoken Conversations. Your words have power. Today's episode, we're going to discuss workplace bullying. And so many of you may say, well, that's a rather odd topic. Actually, not so much, because workplace bullying is alive and well in the, I'll say, the country's workplace. I can only speak for the United States. Um, and when the surveys are being done, they survey people in the United States. So I just want to start really quickly and just talk about, first and foremost, I want to give you guys some statistics because as I promised, uh, I don't want to just have conversations where I give you all my thoughts and views, or my son gives you all of his thoughts and views. We always want to be able to back up the information that we share. So, should anybody decide that they want to fact check us, by all means, please do so. And so, I do take the time out to go ahead and do a little bit of research, like I said, and gather some stats for everyone. So, good evening, Aunt Denise. Thank you so much for joining. You are so loyal, and I appreciate your support. I guess that's what family's supposed to do, right? So really quick, I was doing some research on this whole notion of workplace bullying. And the excuse me, the statistics that I gathered are from a survey that was done in 2021. And it says that in the United, excuse me, and let me just hurry up and give you a quick disclaimer. My voice is going to go in and out. I don't know if anybody else has battled with COVID, but since I had COVID back in October, my voice has not come back in full force. And so I'm actually going to the doctor tomorrow to find out what's going on because I'll be talking fine. Then I got this raspiness going on, and then it go bloop, and it just goes straight out. So y'all keep me lifted in your prayers because the last thing that I can have happen is to start a podcast and be on this platform and I can't talk, but clearly that's the enemy. He's trying to steal my voice. But anyway, so back to the statistics. So statistically in 2021, 79.3 million US workers were affected by workplace bullying, according to the Workplace Bullying Institute. Good evening, Robin. Thank you so much for joining. In addition, 43.2% of these persons work remotely. So basically, these are not even, at least 43% is not even face-to-face bullying or face-to-face contact. Over the pandemic, a lot of us, we were working from home. So we people who are working from home, even though they were at home and they were not in the office and they had no direct contact with co-workers or managers and what have you, 43% of those people still experienced workplace bullying. It says that a lot of the bullying took place in like the virtual meetings that they were having. So I know my employer, like we were asked or requested rather to turn our cameras on. And so I fortunately I didn't experience that virtually, but I guess some kind of way they people who are going to bully are able to find ways to assess a threat virtually. In addition, 67% of these people being bullied have a greater chance of losing their jobs as a result of being bullied, not the bullier, but the people that they're bullying. They have a 67% chance of losing their jobs. So now what the survey didn't break down was that losing their jobs because either one, they quit or they got fired. I would like to think that they did not get fired because then that would mean there's a whole lot of lawsuits running around here. But nonetheless, this statistic is basically saying that 67% of those being bullied are more than likely, or they stand a greater chance of losing their jobs. 52% of the bulliers, the bulliers are managers. That makes sense. And then 52% are non-managers and 40% are actual managers. And men are the majority of the ones who do the bullying. And statistically, it shows that Hispanics are bullied more than any other ethnic group. I thought that to be interesting. I don't know. I'm not really sure why that would be the case. Maybe those of you who are watching, maybe you could help to shed a little bit of light on that as to why those numbers would be greater in the Hispanic population. But the only thing that really kind of like comes to mind for me, I think, is that there is maybe potential language barriers. I think that is really the only thing that I can maybe think of why that population would be experiencing more more bullying than any other population. And then statistically, it's showing that employers tend to encourage, defend, rationalize, discount, and deny bullying in the workplace. So, with that being said, I will share my own personal experience. So, for all intensive purposes, the actions of a coworker fits the parameters for bullying. In my research, I discovered that there are four types of bullies, and I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. But this coworker, um, their tactics are subtle. They're not out and out, because now anybody who knows me, you probably would have to come at me from a subtle uh, position, because look, I've been working in corporate America well over 40 years. You're going to have to be subtle with your actions. You are not going to be able to just come at me with any bullying tactics. But this particular person, they're subtle in their actions, um, and it is to people on the outside, they would not have necessarily identified it as such. But again, there are very specific parameters that identify a bully. And so anyway, this person, I picked up on what they were doing. They took a passive aggressive approach. I do not know why this person singled me out, but in all actuality, it's not necessary. He didn't just single me out. It's part of this person's personality and how this person interacts with other people. But unfortunately, I am the only one that has spoken up. And yeah, so I can't speak for my co-workers and what have you, but what I can't have is I can't have someone attempting to intimidate me, um, discount my work, sabotage my work, things. I there is nothing in me that is going to allow me to sit for that. So, like my pastor said today, oh, I'm here for it. I'm not the one. My pastor said today, the way that you deal with a bully, you got to show up to fight. Robin says, Robin shares, she says, I was bullied as a young child, and in the workplace after I was promoted, my co-workers where I believe were jealous. And so Robin, you're right with the jealousy. My mother, and then I was looking at I was watching this woman on YouTube who is a life coach, and she stated that um, when you're being bullied in the workplace, it is never about you. It's not, so you shouldn't take it as difficult as it may seem. You should never take it personal. It's not about you. It's actually about the bullier, because there is something about you that the bully desires, that the bully wants, or that bully has decided that you are not worthy, you don't deserve, and they want to dim your light, put your light out. Um, they want to find some fault in you. Um, just just a myriad of reasons why they just want to bring you down a notch. Basically, they've decided that you need to be brought down a notch. So yes, Robin, I'm sure that jealousy plays a role, because some people feel like they have the right to decide who deserves what, and so they take it upon themselves to to take action. So I want to share with you all um, what I found in terms of the four types of bullies. So the first thing, the primary objective the bully is that the bully has is to control another person. Um, when you think about it, even as children, and quite honestly, the same thing that applied to us as children is the same thing that applies to us as adults. Uh, Bullies tend to bully because of an inadequacy that they've identified in their self. So when they realize that there are things that they have determined are deficiencies, and I say it like that because you determined that there was a deficiency. That doesn't necessarily mean that there is an actual deficiency, but people, different things mean different things to different people. So, a bully will determine, has identified something that they lack in their own lives, and then they may see it present in your life, and they have decided that, well, why do you deserve to have that either that presence, that recognition, or what have you in your life. And so again, they want to dim your light. So the very first type of bully um, that was identified in my research, and this information I'll be more than happy to share with you. It was based on two videos that I searched for on YouTube. I specifically did a search for workplace bullying, and one of the persons who video I looked at, they are I believe they're a psychologist, and he's written several books about this very phenomenon. So this none of this is me, though I can identify, but this is absolutely information again that I have researched and picked up on. So the first one is the screaming Mimi, or the screamer. So according to the definition of the screaming Mimi, or the screamer, is that person, they're trying to control the emotional climate of the workspace. So the screaming Mimi, the screamer, they're the ones that they're loud. They're loud. They like to draw in a lot of attention. You may go, let's just say you go and you have a question for team. And so let's make the bully a manager, though that wasn't my case, but let's make the bully a manager. So the manager that's the screaming Mimi, or the screamer, you have an issue in the office, you're asking for further guidance. And so you go to your manager to ask for this guidance. Now, one of the things that stands out is that it's only you. So your manager doesn't do this to anybody else. And so, but every time you go to ask your manager a question, your manager, his response is loud. So as to embarrass you. So like, you may ask, I'm having difficulty operating this machine. Can you help me operate this machine? And so the screamer is, what? You can't operate this machine? Oh my God. How long have you been working here? And so then all your coworkers stop and they look and they're like, and so now you're embarrassed. And so because now that you're embarrassed, you tend to not want to go ask your manager anything, because every single time you go to your manager, he lights it up, or he or she lights it up, with the screaming. And so again, that individual wants to control the emotional climate of the workplace. They tend to throw tantrums because everything is over the top for the screaming Mimi, the screamer. The way that so this is me. this is a recommendation. I'm not saying that you should or should not handle this person this way, but here's me. So, like most grown people that I know, we don't really do well with that screaming thing. So, as my manager or even a coworker for that matter, if you are the screaming Mimi, the screamer that every time I go and ask you a question, you just over the top loud with it, I'm going to walk away. Because what I can't do is stand there and entertain being yelled at. That's totally not going to work for me. As saved as I am, I don't know that I would be able to maintain my composure when we're in the office and you screaming like you done lost all your marbles at me after I just asked you a basic question. But so my recommendation is to not match the screamer for where they are, walk away. Because a person screaming, they can't. The screaming only works if you stand in their presence. Would that be considered insubordinate? I would say absolutely not, because that is not the way that you communicate with anybody. So sometimes you have to teach that bully or that person who is desiring to be a bully. Sometimes you have to teach them how to communicate. And so what you can't do is be screaming at me to embarrass me, because ultimately I'm gonna leave you standing right there, and guess what? You're gonna end up embarrassing yourself. So the next type of bully in the workplace is the constant critic, the schemer. So, how many of us have? So again, this person could be a coworker, someone who's your peer that's on the same level as you. And when I say a peer or on the same level as you, this person does not have the ability to fire you. They can't write you up. They your peer. Or again, this person could also be your manager. But the constant critic is someone who, no matter what you do, they got something to say about your work. Most of the time it's never good. They want to know why you did this way, why you didn't do this that way. How how come you didn't try to do this and another? And so there's nothing ever positive that comes out of their mouth with regards to your work. So imagine being in an environment where that's all that either your direct manager or even a coworker for that matter, that's all they do every single day. They give you no credit for anything. They give you no positive reinforcement whatsoever. Everything is why, and everything is always a critique, and you just like, oh. And depending on which what's going on in your life outside of work, coming into a work environment, having to deal with somebody like that is like, yeah, it, it can be a bit much. Again, now that's not necessarily my situation, but I would absolutely say, so when it's your manager, I think it gets really difficult. And for me, I've always been really direct. And so I think I would have to for me, I would confront my manager or the coworker. And I would let them know, it appears to me every time, every time we have an encounter, you never ever really have anything positive to say about my work. You pick my work apart, you know, subject by subject. You tear it down, and there is always a constant critique. Because also the constant critic and the schemer, but they never offer you anything on the positive side. Everything is the whole goal is to tear you down. So they never give you any positive reinforcement. And so when you're having this conversation with them about their actions, you want to say, I appreciate your critiques, but at the end of the day, you never give me any positive reinforcement. You never give me a suggestion of how I can do something better. And so over a period of time of you doing this, it is now moved past a work um issue, and it now becomes personal. Because surely if your work was that bad, you probably wouldn't still be employed there anyway. So I'm a I'm the person, I like to meet stuff at the door. Like if I identify that there is an issue, especially if it's in a workplace, I have to meet you at the door, because at the end of the day, I'm not getting ready to quit. I'm not getting ready to let you mess up my money. We're going to have a conversation about what our issue is. And if you can't come up with a logical explanation as to why you are constantly criticizing and scheming against me, in the workplace, I'm probably going to HR, and I'm going to HR quick. And there is nothing that's going to deter me from going to HR, because again, I can't let nobody mess up my money. So the third schemer, or excuse me, the third bully, and I apologize, I didn't get a chance to put the third one up, but the third bully type is called the two-headed snake, or another word name is the freezer. So I thought the freezer was an interesting I thought that was a really interesting title. But the two-headed snake. So the two-headed snake is the one who uses passive aggressive techniques. So they don't you don't really you tend to not really see them coming, and their tactics are subtle. Like you would, if you wasn't paying attention, you would literally miss it. They're backstabbers. So you think you'll have a coworker who, they're in your corner. They claim to be in your corner, but meanwhile, they're in the boss's office telling them this, that, and the other about you. And most of the time, it's not true. So the two-headed snake is also called the rumor monger. And if it's the manager who is the two-headed snake, they're the ones, they don't stop the rumors. So they will hear all levels of rumors about you, and instead of being a manager and stopping that noise, that manager, he or she encourages the rumor mill. Also, according to a different video that I saw, the freezer says the person who was considered a freezer, they have the same level of authority. They have some type of level of authority. So they may not have the ability to, let's say, fire you and what have you, but they have an ever so slight authority over. It's like let's say if you work in a nursing field, you have a head nurse. So I think the head nurse doesn't have the ability to fire a person, but a head nurse in a ward can probably make your life a living hell. So that person, they'll start rumors about you, and they are, their passive aggressive tactics are like, let's say, okay, it's a head nurse, and she knows that she's supposed to set the charts up. Let's just say, because I don't know how to work in the nursing field, but let's just say she's supposed to make sure that your charts are in a certain place so that you will have access to them. But instead of her doing that, she goes and she puts your charts in another place. And so now you can't find your work. And then eventually you end up finding your work, and you go to the head nurse and you be like, hey, what happened? She's like oblivious. Oh, I don't know. I could have swore I put them over here. I don't know how they ended up over here. That's passive aggressive. She knows exactly how she got it. They play, for lack of better words, they play dumb. It's like when you identify that they've done something, they like to play dumb, like, oh, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? That's I like you. That's what how could you ever think that? That's your passive aggressive um bullier. The according to the term for the freezer, the same person, the two-headed snake, um the they they have the ability to withhold things. So again, back to like the head nurse. Um the head nurse is supposed to make sure, certain things are happening on the floor. Like you, so let's say you is on your shift, you are supposed to hand out medication. So again, I'm not a nurse, so I don't know. So if I have any nurses on tonight, please help me out here. But so because I'm winging it. So let's just say, as the head nurse, let's say she sets up the medication for all the patients on the floor for that evening. So that's her job. So then when you come on your shift, because in your shift, that is the shift that is supposed to provide medication to all the patients. But instead of doing so, she doesn't do it. She leaves the medication locked in the cabinet. You don't have the key to the cabinet, and then she goes to lunch. And so now, and let's say she takes an hour lunch. That's her, her meal lunch. And so now she's going to be gone for the next hour or so. You don't have a key. Nobody knows where she is. And so now you can't give medication to the patients that's on the floor. And so technically the head nurse should be the one that gets in trouble, right? But a lot of times it ends up being you, because for some kind of way the head nurse knows how to twist it around and put the ownership back on you for not being able to do your job. So again, that's the person they call it either the freezer or the two-headed snake. And that's the person who is constantly trying to sabotage your job. And then the last person, one doctor calls that person the gatekeeper, and another one calls that person the belittler. So the belittler is easy. The belittler is that person. I think they're kind of similar to the schemer, but the belittler also uses passive aggressive behavior, and they try to get under your skin. So the belittler is a nitpicker. They just nitpick every single thing, like everything, for no reason at all, just because they can. The what they call the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper the gatekeeper can literally grind things to a halt, similar to the two-headed snake. So the gatekeeper, which let's say was my own personal experience, well, this person had a responsibility to do something after I did it, and because this person was decided that they wanted something a certain way, which was not the way that I was doing it, which was not part of procedures. Um, this person decided, oh, well, then I'm just going to hold on to your work. Day after day after day. This person is a gatekeeper because my work has to pass through this person. And this person knows that my work has to pass through them. And so they decided, well, I'm gonna take my time in doing it. And so they held my work hostage, so to speak. And this has happened to me on 3 different occasions. And so, yeah. And it was at that point that I realized that, oh, I'm experiencing workplace bullying. That this is what you would consider the passive aggressive um, workplace workplace bullying. So now I will say I feel like if I was younger, I probably would have handled this a lot different. I will say that I have never had issues in the workplace with any coworker. Uh, I tend to get along very well with my coworkers, my teammates. I in my entire work career, uh, and I don't, and I've worked a lot of places, but I've been in corporate America mm, about 30 years. I have never had any problem with a coworker. So when this became my reality a couple of weeks ago, I have to say, I have to be honest and say I was kind of taken aback. I'm like, okay, what's really going on? And I will say I don't expect let me back up and say this. I don't expect people everybody to like me. I promise you, I get that. I already know everybody is not going to like me. I can't even trouble myself with being worried about who likes me and who doesn't. However, in the workplace, I think that everybody should have a reasonable expectation that you be respected. None of us are getting paid to like anybody, but you are getting paid to do a job. And you are expected to collaborate with your teammates to get the job done. And so in order to do that, there has to be a level of respect that we all have with each other in the workplace. I will say that I don't think I'm absolutely not above correction. And when I was thinking about the things that were being done, my experiences and what have you, I did have to search myself and ask myself, okay, am I feeling that I'm being bullied because of my pride? Because a lot of what was happening, it was work related, and uh, I had someone telling me how to do my job, a job that I've been doing going on 10 years, and I didn't understand it, and it was not constructive criticism. It was not a quote unquote better way to do something. It was the things that were being said was no there was no added value to what I was doing. And so I was getting frustrated because um I'm not opposed. You can come and present to me whatever it is that you're going to present to me and what have you, and I will listen. And if it makes sense, if it enhances the job that I'm doing and what have you, I'm look, I'm all in. I'm all for it. I'm going to do it. But when I know that you are nitpicking for no reason at all, like, oh my God, how do you have time to even do all of that? But you're nitpicking for no reason at all, you're now trying to get up under my skin. And so again, I had to ask myself, am I feeling this way because of my pride? Do I feel like this person is um like, like, am I being sort of pompous or what have you, and think, oh, I can't be corrected? It absolutely was not that. None whatsoever. Because when the person was right, the person was right. And I adjusted accordingly. But when the person was not right, I gave that person pushback. And so I would say to other people, everybody's situation is unique. Uh and I do not think that there is any right or wrong way to handle a situation. I definitely think it is on a case by case basis, but I don't think anybody, if you are experiencing workplace bullying, I do not think that you should suffer in silence. They are legislature, and I don't know how many states, but I do know that there is legislature that is being worked on right now as we speak, that will make workplace bullying illegal. And so I would implore you to be on the lookout for those petitions and what have you when they getting close to making, doing a vote on whether or not to implement these laws. But also, uh, most employers have have an employee handbook, that and they have policy as it relates to workplace bullying. I went to my own employer handbook and I looked it up, and I found all the information that I needed. I have not acted on it. Uh, it is not necessarily time for me to act on it. I definitely think timing is going to be everything. Um, but I gathered the information, yes, simply because I know that this person's tactics are not over. So I see I have like four people still here with me. And again, I thank you so much for taking time out on your Sunday evening. I know it's playoff time, so forgive me. Only asked for 1 hour. Um, but those of you who are still, hanging out with me, uh, tell me what you think. Has anybody else experienced workplace bullying? Do you have any stories or any recommendations to help anybody else who may be experiencing workplace bullying? And again, so let me just say this really quick. You guys know it is supposed to be me and my son. He's on vacation uh, in California, so that's why he's not on the call. I told him that when it's 6 o'clock here, it's going to be 3 o'clock there. I don't know if in his mind his brain is still operating on East Coast time, and so his time is all messed up. So, but he is supposed to be here with me in this conversation. He is supposed to be with me on this platform, period. Because you know what, guys, I can't. Yeah, I'm not one to sit and talk at a camera. That's not me. I don't know how to do that. Though I'm doing it right now, but that's not what I want to do. I like to have conversations. I like to engage people in conversations. That's the sole reason why um, I've made this podcast live, because I want to talk to y'all, and I want y'all to talk to me, and I want us to be able to share ideas, and have a healthy exchange, excuse me, of our thoughts, and come up with ways that we can remedy various situations. So that's why this platform is live. That's why my son is supposed to be here too. I'm supposed to have a partner because I need to have a dialogue. But since he's not here, I need y'all to be my co-host and have a dialogue with me about this subject. So that y'all all yell at me at the same time. Please share your thoughts and opinions about this subject, or like I said, or your experiences with workplace bullying. I hope that um, not many of you have had this experience. I will say most of the people in my circle, like in my immediate circle, I can't even begin to imagine them dealing with workplace bullying, just because I know their personalities. um I like to think a lot of their personalities are just like me, and when they have identified a thing, they're going to address a thing. I know that's me. When I identify a thing, I address a thing. I do go and pray about it first, because again, very first thing that rings in my mind when I'm thinking about this experience is, first of all, I'm not gonna let anybody mess up my money, so I got to be real careful how I approach a thing. But with that being said, I will never, ever, ever, ever compromise who I am. So, though I have a job, I have an employer, I already know that my support, my sustenance, my everything comes from the man of above. And so, uh, should I ever have to leave a job, um, I will leave a job with the utmost of confidence that my God has got me. But in the meantime, um, I will always continue to pray about a thing. And like anything, you pick and choose your battles. And so I absolutely always implore that tactic to, one, don't get beside yourself to the point that you get fired and mess up your money. Because when you get fired and mess up your money, guess what? They still there making theirs. So I'm not going to do that. And then two, um, uh, you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? When the bullying begins to impact your performance, um, it begins to impact how you show up at work. It begins to impact how you show up outside of work. Then it is absolutely time to take action. I I would hate to see anybody get ran out of their job. Me myself, I'm not gonna let anybody run me out of my job. When I get ready to leave my job, I'm I'm leaving my job on my own terms, and it ain't gonna be because somebody bullied me out the door. That, I promise you, will never, ever, never happen. Um, but yeah, so yeah, you guys share with me, your take on this particular um, subject. Does the four bully types that I share with you guys, does that any of those ring true? Have you had any experience or know anybody who has had that type of experience or interaction um, with a person? Also, something else that I had found when I was doing my research, really quick. So this lady has shared what so there's a term called mobbing, and mobbing is when the bully enrolls other people to help with the bullying. So, which I thought was interesting. Again, that's totally not my situation, but wow, I think that type of environment uh, could definitely be a reason why someone would leave their job because of mobbing, where it's not just one person who is bullying you. That person has employed several people to join their bandwagon and make your work environment extremely uncomfortable. So again, that's not my experience, but it is just evident that apparently, this happened. Now, there was no statistics on mobbing, but I mean, I don't think I don't think they asked anybody that question. If there was mobbing happening in the in the workplace, but I promise you, I wouldn't even be surprised. Um, the legislative um, what is it called? Action. The legislative action that they're currently discussing is called the Dignity at Work Act, or DAWA, DAWA, Dignity at Work, Dignity at Work Act. And this act, the purpose of this act is to make workplace bullying against the law, where you can take legal action against an individual or individuals who are engaging in workplace bullying. So, should you see again any what do you call it, petitions? And absolutely, if I happen to come across the actual petition, I'm probably going to go back to this site where I found this information, because I think she did say that there was a link at the bottom. I will go ahead and share the link with you all so that you can sign on this petition, as well as follow it to see its progression, and when should it make its way to Capitol Hill for a vote in the House and in the Senate. It will have had all the momentum that it needs to show how valuable it is to the workplace, and that they need to go ahead and sign it into law. So again, I will provide the information down in the links on my YouTube page, as well as on my Facebook page, regarding this law and its progression, where it's going. But yeah, workplace bullying is a real thing. It is alive and well in the United States. It's not just happening in corporate America. It's happening in all levels of employment. Nobody is above it. Nobody is immune to it. It's not just happening to our kids, and yeah, that will be a future segment. Bullying as it relates to our children. Yeah, bullying that happens to our children is way different than what bullying was, Robin, when we was kids. I don't even think that they should even call it bullying. What our kids are experiencing, that's on a whole nother level. But also, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother episode. This episode is for the grown folks, and hey, even if we have children who are in the workplace and they also are experiencing bullying, then yes, this would be for them as well. But all right, so our co-host didn't show up tonight, and doesn't look like many of us have anything really to add to this topic, and that's fine. Again, I know that this is not an issue, either one that everybody's experiencing or two that everybody necessarily wants to talk about. Um, again, for fear of reprimand in the workplace, um, retaliation or what have you. Nobody wants to be singled out. So I do definitely understand that this particular topic has a sensitive nature to it. But I told you guys, I wanted to talk about things that we all are talking about, in our living room, sitting at the kitchen table or what have you. These things need to be brought out to the forefront, and they need to be discussed out loud. And so, yeah, I want to have those uncomfortable conversations about things that actually matter to us. So, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I am so internally and forever grateful to all of you who chose to join me tonight. I ask that you like and share this video, and catch it on the playback. If you please feel free to share your comments, any questions, what have you, any information that you may possibly come across that we can share with each other as it relates to this subject. And I will catch you all in 2 weeks. I've already posted what the next conversation is going to be about, so you be on the lookout for that. But I wish you all an amazing evening. How about them boys? That's for my husband. We're looking for a Cowboys win tonight. Again, that's for my husband. And for those of you, other football fans, look, I'm rooting. I hope your team does what you want them to do too. But again, look, only so many can win, right? But anyway, you all have an awesome, amazing night. Thank you again for joining us, and I will chit chat and talk with you all later. God bless and have an amazing, amazing night.